What's the most satisfying way you've seen karma catch up to someone? My neighbor Brad thought he was the neighborhood king because he drove a leased BMW and wore designer suits to his executive job. This guy would park his car diagonally across two spaces, blast music at midnight, and constantly brag about his six-figure salary to anyone who'd listen. Brad had this obsession with showing off his wealth. He'd throw expensive gadgets in his yard by accident so people walking by would see his latest Apple products. When Amazon delivered packages, he'd leave the boxes outside for days with the logos facing the street. Just got the new MacBook Pro, he'd announce to the mailman. The worst part was how he treated service workers. I watched him scream at the pizza delivery guy for being 5 minutes late, demanding a full refund and threatening to get him fired. He'd make the landscaping crew redo work that was perfectly fine just because he could. "I'm paying you so you'll do it my way," was his favorite line. Things escalated when Brad started hosting these loud networking events every weekend. 20 people in expensive cars flooding our quiet street, music pumping until 3 a.m., trash everywhere. When neighbors complained, he'd laugh and say, "Sorry you can't afford to live somewhere more your speed." I tried talking to him once about the noise. He looked me up and down and smirked. "Listen, buddy, I make more in a month than you probably see all year. Maybe invest in some better windows if the sound bothers you." Then he literally walked away while I was mid-sentence. Last month, Brad outdid himself. He hired a DJ, rented a fog machine, and threw what he called a success celebration in his backyard. The bass was so loud it set off car alarms 3 blocks away. When Mrs. Henderson from next door asked him to turn it down because her baby couldn't sleep, he told her to move to the suburbs if you want quiet. That's when I noticed something interesting. Brad's BMW had been sitting in the same spot for 3 weeks without moving. The registration sticker was expired, and there was a thin layer of dust on the windshield. For someone who supposedly drove to his executive job every day, that car hadn't been driven anywhere. The next Monday, I'm working from home when I see Brad walking to the bus stop in his expensive suit, briefcase in hand. I thought maybe his car was in the shop, but then I saw him Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Same routine, same bus stop. Friday afternoon, I'm getting my mail when a tow truck pulls up. The driver hooks up Brad's BMW while Brad comes running out in sweatpants, yelling about how this is a mistake. "I can pay. I just need until Monday." But the repo man had heard it all before. That evening, Brad knocks on my door looking defeated. "Hey man, I hate to ask, but could you spot me $50 for groceries? I'm just waiting for a check to clear." This is the same guy who'd been bragging about his salary for 2 years. Turns out Brad had been unemployed for 6 months. The executive job was actually him going to job interviews and sitting in coffee shops all day to maintain the illusion. He'd been burning through credit cards and his savings to keep up the wealthy lifestyle, thinking he'd land something soon. The designer clothes, all bought on credit. The expensive gadgets, financed with store cards. The networking events, his desperate attempt to find job leads while looking successful. The BMW, 3 months behind on payments. Within a week, Brad's landlord posted an eviction notice on his door. The fancy apartment he could never actually afford was gone. I watched him load his remaining possessions into a beat-up Honda Civic his mom drove over from 2 states away. Before he left, Brad approached me one last time. I know I was a jerk. I was just scared everyone would think I was a failure. I felt bad for him, but not bad enough to forget how he treated everyone when he thought he was better than us. The new neighbor who moved in is a kindergarten teacher who bakes cookies for the whole street. Sometimes the best karma is just getting someone genuinely kind to replace the person who wasn't.